Floyd Wallace faces return to America and jail time. Floyd Wallace appeared terrified on his Friday afternoon live stream. The last before he was scheduled to return to the United States, and perhaps the last before he is scheduled to report to a Cleveland County, Oklahoma, courtroom to accept his fate for a long-delayed charge of interference with a police officer. Longtime readers will remember the summer of 2023. Wallace had become Jose "Chili" DeCastro's protege after an arrest in Las Vegas, Nevada, brought the two together. DeCastro helped Wallace file a federal civil rights lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Department that cribbed 90% of its content from DeCastro's suit against the same department. Then Wallace, who DeCastro billed as an American treasure, performed a series of audits on DeCastro's behalf, resulting in several arrests over a 3-week period. His arrest in Norman, Oklahoma, came near the Cleveland County, Oklahoma Detention Center, where longtime DeCastro protege Jason Dollarhide was being held before his eventual multiple 15-year sentences for assaulting a police officer. Wallace acted weird in the parking lot, running around, acting goofy around police vehicles while being cheered on by DeCastro's fans on a live stream. The officer seemed unimpressed with him, took him in for obstructing, the easiest charge of all to file in Oklahoma, and Wallace spent a few hours in jail before getting out and getting angry. This seemed like a sure thing for DeCastro to back, with a sure thing First Amendment lawsuit and a large payout in his eyes, until it didn't happen. In fact, DeCastro went running from Wallace instead. DeCastro dropped all support for Wallace, stopped mentioning him on the air, and the person, alleged to be DeCastro, running Wallace's Las Vegas-based federal civil rights lawsuit demanded it to be dropped until Wallace himself could find proper counsel. So, what happened to American treasure Floyd Wallace to scare off DeCastro? Heather Dollarhide. From the story that has emerged over the past 2 years, DeCastro had sent Wallace to interview Jason Dollarhide's estranged wife Heather. DeCastro himself had the rumor mill buzzing that summer that he had orchestrated Dollarhide's fake divorce in order to take on Heather as his new girlfriend. DeCastro went so far as to recommend Heather take all the money that had been donated to her husband's bond and invest it in a divorce lawyer. She was then expected to divorce Jason Dollarhide, as Child Protective Services had taken her daughter away from her due to Jason's most recent arrest. The plan put to Heather by DeCastro was that Heather would divorce Jason, prove that she was not associating with lowlifes, get her daughter back from CPS, then eventually reunite with Jason down the line. It all became weird when Heather went public on Jason's YouTube channel with accusations that Wallace sexually assaulted her and a friend when he came over to interview her on DeCastro's behalf. Unconfirmed allegations said that DeCastro paid Heather Dollarhide to make the situation go away so she wouldn't press charges against Wallace. Her YouTube comments were removed quickly, and then both Wallace and Heather Dollarhide were dumped from DeCastro's sphere of influence. DeCastro going so far as to withdraw his pledge to pay Heather Dollarhide's rent until such time as Jason could get out of jail. His alleged production of Wallace's lawsuit ended at the same time. Both Wallace and Heather Dollarhide would become persona non grata in DeCastro's world after that point. Weirdly, DeCastro continued his friendship with Jason Dollarhide, having him on the air from jail multiple times, with Dollarhide getting in trouble when DeCastro live-streamed one of their calls. And until Dollarhide was replaced by Craig Hendry last year, DeCastro was allegedly putting hundreds on Dollarhide's commissary accounts each month. As for Wallace, he avoided going to actual trial in the obstruction case for most of the last 2 years. He's done everything he can to avoid hearings in the case, and has gone on not one, but 2 extended sex tours to South America instead of facing justice. Friday, he said he had left Brazil for the confines of Colombia, where he said that he was having sex with older women who listed Airbnbs, judges, and an active police officer. He pondered releasing his sex tape with the active police officer to his Twitter account once he returned to the United States. He speculated a return to Thailand would jumpstart his channel, much like he had previously promised that the return to Rio would do the same. And he seemed poised to go to his hearing next week and accept his fate before returning to the sex tourist lifestyle. Wallace says he is accepting 30 days in jail, which will be reduced to 10 to 14 days between overcrowding and time off for good behavior. He seemed nervous about the time he was set to serve, but optimistic that another overseas tour after a couple of months would bring his life back into focus.